We're finally to week 5 of the fantasy football season, and we got our first game of the week, Thursday night matchup, Rams and 49ers. We're going to look at this matchup, analyze the game script, see where the fantasy points are flowing to identify those must starts, those must benches, and those guys to stay away from. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're looking at every single game this season, matchup by matchup, to help you set those lineups. We're also doing player rankings to help you set your lineups. We're covering the waiver wire deeper than any other channel here on YouTube. And then on top of that, we're deep diving all the trending players. When news breaks, when a guy's trending up the waiver wire, when a guy gets traded, we'll do a deep dive video with the You Need series. So you need to click that subscribe button right now and stop missing out on this free content and stop following Big Fantasy Football because they're just big networks anyways. But we are looking at Rams and Niners. 44.5 over under. We got a spread of 7.5. So right down the middle with the over under. Pretty much for the week. 44.5 has been right down the middle of the games every single week this season. So Vegas, the market is telling us that they think this game could break movement-wise either way. You look at the last 4 games right below me, it says the same thing. Half of them, no movement. Half of them, high scoring. You're looking at the last 3 games. Points scored, 20-16 in favor of the Rams. The Rams are 3-0 in the last 3. Rushing yards, 116-108. McCaffrey was out of 2 of those. So that's something to pay attention to. Pass attempts, 25-29. So this matchup's going to be a little bit different today because half the Niners are pretty much out, especially fantasy football assets. Quarterback play is going to be very indicative to the scoring. The Rams defense can hold you down, and their offense can push the pace. But if they get too far up, because we got a 7.5 spread, that's a pretty big spread, due to the Niners being out some players, that could impact our Rams players. That could slow us down a little bit. I could definitely see this game script going either way. And that's not me being wishy-washy, because the analysis says, like, hey, Mac Jones slinging the rock from behind might be able to get you some garbage time points. But on top of that, Rams being up, slowing things down, that could be your fantasy players on the Rams slowing down the back end of the game. So you better hope you get there early. But this one could break. It could also be ugly. That's just what it is. It's done that half the time anyways. You're looking at this. Brock Purdy's out. Mac Jones is in. Mac Jones, relatively safe. No matter what team he is with, he's relatively safe for fantasy football. Matthew Stafford, as long as he's got Puka Nacua, he's relatively safe. I look at this matchup, I look at the flow, I look at the game script. Most of you guys are wondering whether or not to start Matthew Stafford. I think he's safe to get you to like that 15 range. I think he's a risk if you're trying to shoot the 25 to 30. I think if you got another quarterback that's in range for 25 to 30, maybe. But I don't like having 2 QBs and 1 QB leagues anyways. And Stafford's safe. I think he's going to be all right to get you to around 15. We might get around 200 yards. Could be a little less, could be a little bit more. It really depends on what the other quarterback here does because he's down wide receivers. He's down Ricky Pearsall. He's down Jennings. He's down Kittle. He's down a lot here. He's going to have to scrape it up. The odds are against Mac Jones here. He's a gamble play. You're looking at what these defenses are doing. Last 3 games, Rams are averaging 21.3 fantasy points to quarterbacks. All the quarterbacks are at least hitting it on the fairway. Jalen Hurts went off against the Rams. That's something to pay attention to. But he's got that rushing prowess. The Niners here, they'll hold you down a little bit. But they'll bend too. They bent to Kyler Murray. Trevor Lawrence a tad bit, but it was kind of a low bend. And then Spencer Rattler just went YOLO. So I believe Stafford's at least going to get you to the fairway. I think Stafford's safe for the fairway. It's just the matter of fact if you want the fairway or not. Maybe you want more. Maybe you want to bomb it down the fairway. Maybe you want to get it to the green. If you want to get it to the green, this is going to be a rough matchup for it. Christian McCaffrey, who's benching him? Who's benching him? The Rams matchup is not optimal, and it's like that for most running backs. Jonathan Taylor hung 14.6 on them. Christian McCaffrey is going to be catching balls out of the backfield. He's going to have 10-plus targets in this game. He's going to catch like 80% of them, 60, 80%. His work and his fantasy production is going to be in the passing game. They have no wide receivers, technically. They don't have tight ends. Christian McCaffrey's got to be the whole show. He does not have to be efficient running the football. He's getting so much work in the passing game. Who's benching him? I mean, he's at least going to get you to the fairway pretty easy just in receiving production. But he's the whole offense. He's going to get all the work. You're starting Christian McCaffrey, and now you're looking at these 49ers wide receivers. This is a game where you start your studs. This is a game where you just don't play around. It's too iffy. It's too wishy-washy. It's too up and down. Vegas is saying that. The last 4 games, they were off and on. You're looking at all this. You're looking at all the wide receivers pretty much being out. So you're looking at Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson being the volume getters in this matchup because they are running the route. Demarcus Robinson in the second game for the 49ers. And you got Kendrick Bourne, who is third in line anyways. Sky Moore might sneak in a little bit. MVS might get some deep shots downfield. Teams throwing the Rams. Mac Jones goes YOLO. Now, I would look at these wide receivers for DFS. I would see if I can catch them on cheap. I've not looked at those formats. But if I had to pick one, Demarcus Robinson is probably pretty cheap. He might get a deep target here and there. And this is his revenge game against his former team. So he might get some targets going his way if we can get that revenge juju. Kendrick Bourne's another wide receiver you're looking at. You're only starting these wide receivers if you're hurting. I have not ranked my top 50 wide receivers yet. That's going to come out on Friday. But if they were in there, I don't think I could stomach putting any of these wide receivers in the top 50. But I probably would have somebody now that I thought about it, maybe around 48, 45 range. So not really startable. Only if you're hurting. There's a lot of risk here. There's a lot of other good wide receivers out there that you can throw in. But if you had to, probably Bourne or Robinson, coin flip it, MVS for deep balls, and you got Sky Moore, who's out there getting some work in the slot. Now you're looking at the tight end spot here. You're really throwing him in if you want a random touchdown, and you're betting on that. That's it. That is it. You also are getting around 25 routes per game. The wide receivers are gone. You may want to cash in on that if you want, but only if you're hard at tight end. Only if you're hurting that bad at tight end. If you're hurting that bad at tight end, you got some problems. You got some problems. I've never had a start-sit question with tongues on it. I've never had that. Now we're going over here to the Rams. Kyren Williams, he's a start. I had him a little bit lower in my rankings due to the matchup, but he's still in start range for me. So it doesn't matter. If you're in start range, you're in start range. And the San Francisco 49ers defense, they're still bending the running backs. Nobody broke them yet. ETN came close. Kyren Williams, I think he's going to be in line to get a score here. Rams are going to move the football. They're probably going to get in the red zone. He's probably going to punch one in. I think he's good for around like 80 yards. I think there's a good chance we get a score here on the ground. Maybe catch 2 balls in this matchup. I think we get to the fairway. I think we get midline on the fairway and get you around 12 to 15 range. Blake Corum, if you're playing DFS, he is a secret stash hitter in those formats. I am not going to recommend starting him, but if you're looking for a cheap asset or if you're looking for a play that could accidentally cross the goal line, that's what you're looking at right now with Blake Corum. He's getting a good amount of work here the last couple games. He's been looking explosive. If they're up, they're going to use him a little bit more. He could get you a touchdown. He could reel off a couple big runs. He could be that cheap play that allows you to cram in higher priced players into your lineup. The risk is he doesn't get enough touches where he amounts to anything, but still looks good on the field. That could potentially happen, which you could also look bad on the field, but when they're looking good on the field but not getting enough touches, it makes you want to punch yourself in the dick. Like honestly, because you're like, just get a few more and we're going to be golden. You know what I'm saying? Kyren Williams, you're starting. Blake Corum's a moneyball play for DFS. Redraft-wise, no. Puka, Nacua, and Davante Adams. First off, who is going to bench Puka, Nacua? It has to be like a one-team league. So really, when you're looking at this, you're looking at the upside. And the downside to Puka, Nacua would be if the Rams get up early to the point they can just coast. And they coast. They hand it to Kyren. They hand it to Blake. The clock runs dead, and that's it. We're in the second half now, and it's like, well, hell, we don't have to throw the ball. Davante Adams, same thing. You're starting them still, though. Like, it's not really likely to happen for it to be that bad. Like, you're seeing two different things that could happen here. A big-time shootout or the death clutch of death here with the Rams getting up. More likely it's going to be in the middle, so you'll get some sort of movement. Guessing movement of this game, it's going to be like moderate to low. So I bet you Puka Nacua still gets his stats. I bet he still gets probably around 9 to 10 targets, somewhere around there. A little bit less, but he'll still get more targets than 90% of the wide receivers out there. Davante Adams, he might be a little bit boom bust this week, but he's still getting enough volume where he can hit. This team will break the wide receivers. They broke the Jackson Smith and Jigba. He got a lot of volume in that matchup. That kind of lends well to Puka Nacua. There's no way I'm benching Puka Nacua. He could have one leg and like 2 toes. I'm not benching Puka Nacua. I think Davante Adams, most matchups I'm throwing him out there. They're bending the wide receivers and they broke once. I think I'm throwing Davante Adams out there. And then you got that Cardinals game that's just really weird. That's also skewing the numbers a little bit. So you're looking at that. They are breakable to wide receivers. Now, I'm not looking at any of the tight ends here for the Rams. Just don't do it. Now, if you're trying to moneyball it, Tyler Higbee's doubtful. So you're looking at Davis Allen, Colby Parkinson, and you're just throwing them in. You're just throwing them in, mainly DFS. If you're doing this on redraft, you have to be in a deep league format to where you're hurting. 12-team leagues, you're probably good to go at tight end. Like you're probably rolling like a Brenton Strange or something like that. With these tight ends, you're just hoping they get the touchdown. Davis Allen has 2. He has 5 targets on the season. Parkinson has 4. Just pick one. Just pick one. DFS-wise, they'd be cheap. You're hoping one just gets the score, and you're just going to have to roll with it. 12-team redraft. No, shouldn't even be rostered. Don't even think about it. With this matchup, it could be all right with some okay movements. Now that I talked about it a little bit, a little wishy-washy. I think it can go either way, though. I don't see it really breaking to the extreme either way. I think we'll get okay to moderate movement, but nothing grand and nothing slammed. It could potentially happen with those wide receivers out, but I think the movement on the back end, third and fourth quarter with Mac Jones could affect this game script where you can still get some moderate movement with your wide receivers. And Christian McCaffrey, there's no way in hell you're going to bench him. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video.